Hi there, hope you're having a pleasant day wherever you may be. Today I find myself driving across the prairie looking for a glass of ice cold water. That's right, I'm at Wall Drug in Wall, South Dakota. Wall Drug is located in the small town of Wall, South Dakota, off of I-90, about an hour or so from Rapid City. So, what is Wall Drug? Well, back in 1931, Ted and Dorothy Houston of Nebraska um, decided to move here to Wall. Ted was a pharmacist and he was tired of working for other people. He wanted to open up his own practice. And Dorothy was a school teacher who just kind of went along with him. Part of their criteria was finding a town with a Catholic church that they could attend daily, and Wall fit the bill. So they uprooted and bought a pharmacy here in town. Now, for the first 5 years, things weren't great here. Wall was a small town with about 300 residents. It was hit hard by the Depression and the drought, and there wasn't much need for a pharmacy. When they moved here, they decided to give themselves 5 good years, and if it didn't work out after then, they would move somewhere else. Well, as that 5 years was approaching, Dorothy began to notice lots of thirsty travelers on the road going toward like Mount Rushmore and the Badlands and things like that. And she thought, well, hey, what if we offered free ice water to try to draw people in? So that's what they did. Ted went down the road and started putting up some signs. Many of them had little funny phrasings akin to the Burma Shave signs down on Route 66. And it was an immediate success. Before he was even done finishing putting up the signs, people were already at the drugstore asking for water. Now, like any good business tactic, not only did people stop for water, but there was a soda fountain in the drugstore. So people were getting ice cream cones and they were buying other things. And before he knew it, business was booming in this tiny little town. The next full summer, he had to actually hire 8 girls to help run the soda fountain and the drugstore and everything because demand was just so much at the time and it just kept on going. Now, business kept booming, and in the early 1950s, Ted's son, who was helping to take over the business, decided to expand it to more of a general Western theme. So that's pretty much what it's taken on now, and it's continued to grow and grow and grow. And it's way larger than its original single storefront was at the very beginning back in 1931. Nowadays, Wall Drug is way more than just a drugstore. It has a chapel, which obviously, because he was Catholic, that was going to be incorporated. It has a lot of Western goods and things like that. It has a cafe. What's neat about the cafe is that it still offers 5-cent coffee. The ripoff is that the refills are 5 cents too, so you have to pay 100%. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's still a pretty cool novelty to have 5-cent coffee. It's also something of a Western sort of art museum. There's a lot of Western paintings and things like that, a lot of sculptures. There are all sorts of branding irons and things like that on the walls of, I guess, people that live in the area, I suppose. And not only does the cafe offer the 5-cent coffee, but of course, the free ice water. You can still get it to this day. Sure, now it comes out of a soda dispenser, which I'm sure is a far cry from the chiseling off chunks of ice from the block that Ted used to do back in the 1930s, but hey, still the same premise. So they do also advertise the backyard, which has other things to look at, but unfortunately it was closed. I could only see a couple of things through the gate, like the jackalope, big giant jackalope. For some reason, jackalopes are like a thing out here, I guess. There's also a little miniature Mount Rushmore, which was kind of cool. But yeah, I was pretty limited on getting to see the backyard. Supposedly there's a dinosaur back there too, but I didn't get to see that. What's really cool is that if you walk into like the main entrance, it takes you into like this little street. It's indoors, but it looks like a Western town street. All the little stores and shops inside have kind of like storefronts and things like that. Not to mention a bunch of things on the walls and things to look at, all Western themed. But it's just a blast to the senses. There's just a lot of things to just take in, slowly walk around, take a look at. Really cool. There's also several souvenir shops and knickknacks and things like that. There's all sorts of t-shirts, shot glasses, toys, things like that. And then on top of that, there's also a pharmacy, which is, let's not forget its roots. There's actually two kind of pharmacy things here. One of them is on like the main street, and it's really cool because it recreates the original storefront of back in 1931. It has some old artifacts from when he was a pharmacist back in the day, so old bottles and things like that, and it's just really cool to look at, just to see these neat little bits of history when it comes to like pharmacology kind of things. So as far as visiting here, it's actually really easy. It's right off of I-90. The town is named Wall, which I haven't actually seen anything confirm it, but they refer to the Wall of the Badlands. I'm sure that's probably where this place got its name, but that's just me putting two and two together. I have no confirmation of that. But like I said, the drugstore is pretty much the main game in town. So there's signs everywhere telling you where it's at, and it's big. You won't miss it. There's a big parking lot. It's, you cannot miss Wall Drug in Wall, South Dakota. This is the Wall Drug 80-foot dinosaur right at the edge of town. Greets you as you're driving in from the east, and it's also right next to a sign that tells you how to get there. Like I said, Wall Drug, it's the main game in town. It's about an hour from Rapid City. It's not far outside of the western entrance of Badlands National Park. It's also probably about an hour and a half from Mount Rushmore. So there's some other things in the area that you can check out in addition to Wall Drug. Now, one of the things they do have is a little pamphlet that they have for free. Like, I got this one from in the cafe. They have them at all the tables. So if I sound smart in regards to Wall Drug, it's because of this guy. What's really neat, it has a little map of the store. It has history of the Badlands, and it also has a brief history of the drugstore written by Ted himself for a publication back in the 80s. So it's his words. So that's really cool in my opinion. You get to hear like the thoughts and things like that of when they came to this tiny little town. If I did have one complaint, is that I just wish they would point out where the original drugstore was. I would love to know where the storefront actually began, because it's grown into such a behemoth and it looks all modern. There's really no remnants of the original one. So if I had one knock on the place. All in all, it's pretty cool. If you're driving through South Dakota, there's no reason not to stop here, because I mean, it breaks up the drive. If it's a hot day, get your water, or even a day like this where it's like 20 degrees, I still got my water and my 5-cent coffee. Well, that does it for this one. Thanks for joining me on this trip to Wall Drug in Wall, South Dakota. Hope you found it interesting, hope you found it informative, and maybe it'll encourage you to come check it out yourself. With that said, I guess I'll see you on the next one. When we came to Wall Drug 12 years ago, after we left, we realized, hey, we never got any water. So I'm righting that wrong. Got my free ice water and my 5-cent cup of coffee.